Hello all, I hope that you're well. Thank you for visiting the channel and for clicking on this video. It's great to have you. Whether you've been here previously or this is your first visit, then welcome. The channel is still in its infancy and I'd be so grateful if you could like, subscribe and share. If you know anyone that likes tales of crime, bizarre happenings and dark stories, please point them in old Coldblood's direction. We have another seemingly run-of-the-mill crime coming up, but with a sickening twist. Today we travel to Unionville in Markham, Ontario, Canada. Nothing else to say really apart from here we go. Through their sheer hard work and determination, the Pans had created a very nice life for themselves, and this gave them the financial ability to give their children every advantage that they themselves had not had, giving Jennifer and Felix the opportunity to attend good schools, music lessons, have daily ice skating training and other pursuits that would not be attainable for more average families. Bick and Huey were proud of their children, and although they could be a little strict and controlling, it came from a place of love, and the results spoke for themselves. Jennifer flourished academically and was a consistent straight-A student and the star of the school band, becoming an accomplished flutist and pianist thanks to the lessons her parents were able to fund from her from the age of 4. The only disappointment for Jennifer is that her dream of being an Olympic champion skater had been shattered when an accident on the ice resulted in her tearing a ligament in her knee. However, on the whole, the family led a full life and Jennifer was destined for great things. Fast forward a few years to 2010, and the life that the Pans had built was to be shattered in shocking circumstances. On November the 10th of that year, the Pans had not long retired to their beds for the night. All was quiet and still. That was until the handle of the main door into the residence slowly opened. 3 shadowy figures slipped quietly inside the impressive home, the low light glinting off the cold metal in their hands. They were armed. Wasting no time, the trio ghosted across to the stairs and silently climbed them. On reaching the top, they immediately headed in the direction of the main bedroom. Once there, they stormed in, startling Huey and Bick. Ransacking the room, the gunman violently threatened the couple and demanded cash and jewellery. The Pans, terrified, complied and gave the intruders everything they could, hoping that they would take it and flee. Sadly, this was not the case. The men dragged the Pans to their feet and forced them out of the room, dragging them down the stairs, passing Jennifer on the landing, who was bound and gagged, her eyes wide with fear. They continued down the stairs into the substantial basement. Shortly afterwards, multiple gunshots rang out and the intruders returned to the main entrance and calmly left the scene. Jennifer, although bound and blindfolded, managed to fight her way free and call 911. When the police arrived on the scene, they descended to the basement, following the distraught Jennifer's direction, and what they found there was truly awful. The Pans lay on the ground in pools of blood, each with multiple gunshot wounds. Bick was clearly dead, lying motionless with no pulse, but Huey showed signs of life, and the medics immediately got to work stabilising him. He was then airlifted to Markham Stouffville Hospital and then transferred to Sunnybrook Hospital in Ontario. It was a shocking attack on a family that had only ever strived to improve their life through hard work and dedication. To have their lives stripped away for a few $1,000s was nothing short of a tragedy, leaving their children with a now uncertain future. The extreme events of that fateful night immediately did not sit right with police officer William Bill Goots, and he wasted no time analysing the events, aided in no small way by the recovering Mr. Pan. Here follows the actual story of that night and how the plan for the attack on the defenceless Pan family was devised and developed by the callous culprits. The outstanding achievements of Jennifer Pan, as already covered at the beginning of this tale, were nothing short of remarkable and no doubt brought huge pride to the parents Huey and Beck. This vindicated their strict monitoring of their daughter's education and life outside of school. If she wasn't at school striving for the highest grades, she was swimming competitively, learning high-grade music, practicing martial arts, or, until the accident, intensively training towards becoming an Olympic skater. When returning home, she was often found to be studying late into the night and then going straight to bed, only to repeat the same cycle day after day. By the age of 22, Jennifer had never been drunk, never been to a party, never dated a boy, never done anything apart from study or follow the pursuits inflicted on her by her parents. Unbeknownst to her parents, Jennifer wasn't actually the grade A student they perceived her to be. In fact, she was average at best, around the 70% range, apart from in music where she genuinely excelled. In order to keep her true grade secret from her overbearing parents, Jennifer regularly completed fake grade report cards to present to them. However, this all nearly came to a head when a promised early entry to Ryerson University was rescinded due to Jennifer failing the grade 12 calculus. This could have been the end of the facade that Jennifer had propagated for years, but she adapted to continue the lie. Pretending to attend the university, she instead left the house each day to sit in libraries or cafes until it was time to return home. This developed into Jennifer taking jobs in cafes and even working as a piano tutor to fill the vast amounts of free time she now had. When her parents inevitably started showing an interest in her studies and wanting to see how her classes were going, she even began studying pharmacology off her own back from a second-hand textbook and watching videos on the subject. Creating notebooks full of information she would show her parents as evidence of how diligent she was studying. With no reason to doubt her, they were pleased with the promise that their daughter was showing, and they even conceded to let her stay away with a female friend who was attending the same course as her. They stayed closer to campus and it would allow her more time to read on the subjects as the commute was greatly reduced. This female friend was actually a young man, Daniel Chi Kwong Wong, Jennifer's boyfriend, who worked in a local pizza restaurant and was also an active marijuana dealer. Whilst undertaking her fake degree, Jennifer decided it was time she gained fake experience volunteering in the same field. It was then that she told her parents that she had accepted a position at a hospital for sick children. However, this sudden development raised suspicion with her parents, as when she returned home at the weekends and university holidays, there was no evidence of a professional uniform or any hospital ID. Once this suspicion was seeded, it took root, and Huey decided to follow his daughter to her voluntary work one day. This obviously resulted in the house of cards tumbling, with all the lies and deception spilling out, including the discovery of the relationship between Jennifer and Daniel Wong. The Pan parents were understandably livid. Their daughter was not this incredible prodigy that they had created. She wasn't going on to do great things. She hadn't even completed high school. Above all of this, she had lied to them, abused their trust for years, despite everything they had done for her, everything they had given her on a silver plate. Huey was in favour of casting her out there and then, completely cutting her off, but Bick, although devastated at the deception, begged for her to be allowed to stay. Eventually, Huey relented and allowed Jennifer to stay, on the understanding that she was banned from ever contacting Daniel again, and that she would immediately resume her studies, complete high school and strive for a university place. Jennifer readily agreed and began to toe the line. This was the story that Bick and Huey knew up until the terrible night that Bick lost her life. The following are the details that were obtained following Jennifer's arrest on November the 22nd, 2010, shortly after the death of her mother. On the third interview with police, she was informed that a recording of the interviews were being analysed using cutting-edge technology, and the reports that were being produced proved that she was lying. This was inherently untrue, but Canadian law allows for the police to use such tactics during questioning to elicit a confession. On this day, that is exactly what happened. The following details form part of the confession from Jennifer. Jennifer never actually ceased contact with Daniel, secretly calling and texting and occasionally managing to meet him in secret. Nevertheless, this fizzled out quickly as Daniel barely got to see her, so he called off the relationship and started dating another young woman. Incensed at this, Jennifer claimed the new girl Daniel was seeing had arranged for a group of men to force their way into Jennifer's house and gang rape her, and also after this she had received a bullet in the post, a direct threat to her life. No evidence was ever found that either of these events took place. By spring 2010, Jennifer and Daniel were back in touch and began to formulate a terrible plan that would allow for them to have a proper relationship and also set them up for life. To this end, Wong put Jennifer in contact with a man called Lenford Roy Crawford and provided her with an untraceable burner phone on which to contact him. From there, 2 other gentlemen of questionable morals were recruited, Eric Sean Carty, known as Sniper, and a Montreal native David Milvanganum, who lived in Toronto. Milvanganum was identified as one of the individuals that entered the Pan's home on that November evening. The other 2 participants have never been identified. Carty was found to be the driver for the gang. He was eventually convicted for an unrelated murder recorded the year previous. The remaining duo could not have been Wong nor Crawford, as they were both at work at the time of the attack, with witnesses corroborating their stories. The events of the attack then unfolded exactly as detailed at the beginning of this tale, with one major difference. When the attackers were dragging the Pans from their bedroom and forcing them down the stairs, they did indeed pass Jennifer on the way. However, from Huey Pan's statement, his daughter was not bound nor gagged. In fact, she even briefly spoke to one of the masked men as though he was a friend. The plan had been simple: kill the Pans, leaving Jennifer a tidy inheritance of an estimated 500,000 Canadian dollars, remove their iron grip over her life, and provide the freedom to move in with Daniel. Following Jennifer's arrest and subsequent confession, the rest of the party were soon rounded up and arrested. Milvanganum was arrested on the 14th of April 2011. Carty followed swiftly after on April 15, 2011, although he was already incarcerated for the previous murder. Wong was arrested on April 26, 2011, and Crawford on May 4, 2011. The case took 3 long years to come to court, beginning in March 2014. All defendants were charged with first-degree murder, attempted murder, and conspiracy to commit murder. They all entered not guilty pleas, and the trial then churned on for 10 long months. Throughout the trial, damning evidence of hundreds of phone calls between the perpetrators were disclosed. The fact that Jennifer herself had unlocked the door to allow the killers access to the home, and that she had lied about being bound and gagged, also came to light. At the conclusion of the trial, the deceitful daughter Jennifer Pan, Milvanganum, Wong and Crawford were all found guilty of the charges and sentenced to life in prison with the possibility of parole after 25 years. Additionally, Pan was ordered to never contact any of her surviving family members at the request of Mr. Pan and his son, and also banned from ever contacting Daniel Wong. Carty's trial was declared a mistrial due to his legal representative falling seriously ill. However, in 2015 he was handed an 18-year sentence for conspiring to commit murder. He apparently entered a guilty plea to save the Pan family from having to endure a further trial. The major downfall of the gang was that they had been so sure that the plan would succeed and both of her parents would be wiped out in one go. No one saw the need to actually restrain Jennifer for appearances. If they had, or indeed if the attackers had been more diligent in the task of extinguishing the life of Mr. Pan, then they may well have gotten away with murder. For the second time, Huey had uncovered the lies and deceit of his only daughter. Sadly, this time Jennifer's treachery had cost him his wife and very nearly his own life. So, there we go, that's it. Born with a silver spoon, given every opportunity to succeed, but ruled with an iron fist. I'm sure Mr. and Mrs. Pan thought they were doing the right thing by their kids, but it turns out that at least one of the kids thought differently. I would be very interested in your thoughts in the comments below. Had they pushed too hard? Were they to blame? Or do you think that Jennifer was fundamentally bad and it was only a matter of time until her true colours came out? Please guys, remember, comment, like, subscribe and share if you would be so kind. And until next time, stay safe and stay inquisitive.